in Hollywood you never expected. They be having these big mansion parties, and the mansion party, the whole mansion is a party, and then it's a separate party in the little rooms. I ain't been famous that goddamn long. I'm excited in a mother to be at the mansion party. You be looking in all the goddamn rooms, and you around and look in the wrong room. Come here, come here. Is that two niggas kissing? Did you know that I can see you? Shut the goddamn door.
I'm glad you're here. Everybody wants to know, why'd you walk away from $50 million?
I wasn't walking away from the money. I was walking away from the circumstances with the newfound plateau.
Yeah.
It was completely outside of my frame of reference. I've been in show business since I was 14. I've heard the stories, seen these kinds of things play out in front of me.
Katt Williams has been speaking loud for years, exposing the dark games going on in the industry, stuff that never made it to Instagram or YouTube. Meanwhile, Dave Chappelle has been quietly slipping out the back, staying low after allegedly seeing just how dangerous Diddy nights could be. And now that Diddy might not see the light of the day ever again, industry's biggest whistleblowers are finally coming out to expose it all and why they never went back to Diddy after spending just one night at his place. Katt and Dave didn't just wake up one day and decide to call out the industry. They had receipts and memories from rooms they never should have been invited into. In one of his interviews, Katt made it plain Hollywood doesn't push you out unless you've seen or learned something you weren't supposed to.
Why did he get blackballed?
Yeah,
because in 30 years I've done nothing but collect information, knowledge, and your secrets. So if you and a man was in a corner doing something you wasn't supposed to be doing,
you will tell it.
No, somebody come to tell me.
Okay.
I gather that, I value that, I'll pay for that. Come, tell me. I know so many things I shouldn't know, and they all know it. They all know it. Why? Because you don't make me the villain. Not the guy that raises black children and ain't never done a hard in his life and don't have no stories of doing nobody dirt.
So it's no surprise that the power to be tried to end Katt. This man has been to jail 30 times, but they were never to hold him down.
30 times. When I'm in there, I'm fine, and I'm understanding that I'm put here for a reason. And the people that get joy off me being in here are really gonna look stupid because I'm finna be free, because you gotta be setting this up. I'm never anywhere to get anything. You don't know I just made $300,000 in your city. That's why you think I might be out here as a...
Back in 2006, long before folks were ready to listen, Katt hit the stage talking about one particular night in Hollywood. Most thought it was comedy, but now it's sounding more like a confession. He described those big La Mansion parties where the main floor would be lit, music blasting, stars everywhere, and folks celebrating, but behind those main rooms there were side rooms where some real nasty stuff would go down.
In Hollywood you never expected. They be having these big mansion parties, and the mansion party, the whole mansion is a party, and then it's a separate party in the little rooms. I ain't been famous that goddamn long. I'm excited in a mother to be at the mansion party.
Stuff that Ollie Carter warned us about.
You knew these parties were not okay. They weren't freak-offs. They were satanic ritual.
Katt, being new to that level of fame at the time, was excited. He walked through those mansion halls like anyone would, curious, maybe a little hyped. Then he peeked into the wrong room. What he saw hit different.
I ain't been famous that goddamn long. I'm excited in a mother to be at the mansion party. You be looking in all the goddamn rooms, and you around and look in the wrong room.
His words, two dudes were straight up getting down in there, and it wasn't the kind of vibe he expected. Someone even pulled him closer like it was a secret to share. That's when Katt backed off. That moment alone shifted his whole view. He just knew right then and there that he couldn't be part of that type of lifestyle.
Is that two niggas kissing?
Years later, Katt would bring up that moment again during an interview. That's when he talked about rituals and how black entertainers were being played, used, and then discarded. He kept mentioning how certain circles in Hollywood weren't just about status or deals, they were about submission, power moves, dressed up like parties, and Diddy kept coming up.
Some of us are against the Illuminati. We are against the Illuminati at our own detriment. When people are against the Illuminati, then they get punched in the face all the time. The press hates them, and nobody likes them. End quote.
We all love Dave Chappelle.
Exactly. Dave Chappelle has never been a part of the Illuminati. They don't want him or me or people like us.
Yeah.
But now it's not necessary for us to stir up that hornet's nest unless we intend to get stung 1,000,000 times. I didn't understand that. They had to sting me 1,000,000 times. I'm still not going to join. But
Right after that, the industry came for him hard. According to what Katt said, the headlines made him look crazy. They threw his mugshots all over the media, told lies in the press, and tried to turn him into a joke, not because he lost his touch, but because he refused to play along B.
Because the people want to know, why would he get blackballed?
Yeah,
oh,
because
because in 30 years I've done nothing but collect information, knowledge, and your secrets. So if you and a man was in a corner doing something you wasn't supposed to be doing,
you will tell it.
No, somebody come to tell me.
Okay.
I gather that, I value that, I'll pay for that. Come, tell me. I know so many things I shouldn't know, and they all know it. They all know it. Why? Because you don't make me the villain. Not the guy that raises black children and ain't never done a hard in his life and don't have no stories of doing nobody dirty.
All right. How do you handle that? Because they put your name in the press with a lot of rumors and a lot of situations that they try to put on Katt Williams. Do you feel ever the need to, like, I gotta go defend this and put out a story about who I am, or do you just let that kind of like roll off your back when
Well, as you can see, I've let it all go for quite some time, and a lot of that is just based upon the fact that I don't really know how to complain because all of the people that I ever looked up to had to.
Here's where Dave Chappelle's story folds into this like it's part of the same blueprint. Before Dave packed his bags and ran away to South Africa, people were already seeing him at exclusive Hollywood functions, and guess who was often hosting those elite rooms? Diddy. It didn't take long before Dave realized something wasn't adding up. These weren't just regular industry parties, they were setups masked as luxury.
You disappeared for a while. People were saying, where's Dave? Where's Dave Chappelle? Where's he going? And then it turns out you took a trip to Africa. Is that true?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they said.
Right.
It was
because
like,
the stories were, the stories, as you know, you're hearing all kinds of stuff on the news.
it was crazy, man. I mean, first I went to Africa to chill.
This is where things really take a turn. Dave didn't walk away from the game because he didn't want the bag, that $50 million Comedy Central deal. That wasn't the issue. In his own words, he never walked away from the money. He walked away from the circumstances surrounding the whole thing, and that's a big difference.
Everybody wants to know, why'd you walk away from $50 million?
I wasn't walking away from the money. I was walking away from the circumstances with the newfound plateau.
Yeah.
It was completely outside of my frame of reference. I've been in show business since I was 14. I've heard the stories.
He said it out loud. They were trying to medicate him, trying to convince him he was mentally unstable. That type of pressure doesn't just come from execs trying to lock in a contract. That comes from people who got something to lose if you speak out.
Ain't no weak people talking to you. So what is happening in Hollywood? Nobody knows. The worst thing to call somebody is crazy, is dismissive. I don't understand this person, so they're crazy. That's bullshit. These people are not crazy. They're strong people. Maybe the environment is a little sick.
Dave said people would walk behind him, not once, repeatedly. That don't sound like concern. That sounds like a game plan, a push to make him fold.
You're hearing on the news things like he's gone crazy, which that didn't sound right, you know?
Well, maybe I know stuff people don't want me to talk about, so we're gonna want other people to believe, so they'll call me crazy. But it was a weird thing to get called crazy. At first it was scary, and then now I feel like it's liberating. Like, I feel free, like I can just say what I want to do what I want. They already call me crazy. I can't hold myself accountable for these things.
Mental control lines up too well with how folks describe Scientology, and it's wild cause once you dig into this whole story, that connection between Diddy and Scientology keeps coming back up. Now, to be clear, Diddy never stepped out publicly claiming he's part of the Church of Scientology, but his network overlaps heavy with known members. We're talking about industry names like Will and Jada Pinkett Smith, who've both been connected to the church in different ways.
How you gonna not know nothing about Scientology and attack somebody? It's dangerous and it's ignorant.
Will and Jada launched the New Village Leadership Academy, a school based on Scientology teaching methods. They used something called study tech developed by L. Ron Hubbard, who founded the church. That school eventually shut down after parents realized what it was really built on. Even though Jada claimed she wasn't a Scientologist, actress Leah Remy, who left the church and started exposing it, called her out. She said she Saw Jada at the Celebrity Center in La plenty of times, and she didn't just say that in interviews, she wrote it down in her book Surviving Hollywood and Scientology. Leah even shared a moment that had folks scratching their heads. She talked about a night at Tom Cruise's house with the Smiths. Supposedly Cruise made everybody play hide and seek in his massive estate. At first it sounded goofy, but Leah later made it clear these weren't just silly games, they were part of something bigger, an introduction to deeper control, and Diddy being in these same circles that got people wondering. With what has come out so far, Diddy's events were leverage places where certain guests were caught doing certain things. Secret cameras, hours of footage with big names on them. The idea was to keep people in check, but if that wasn't already enough, then comes Jamie Foxx. Jamie used to be real open about pulling up to Diddy's parties. He even joked about how he got in, said he'd walk in with a camera and play it cool like he was documenting the whole event. He'd catch all kinds of moments, scenes most folks never got to see.
Popped out the town car with a camera, said, yo, Puff, yo, you gotta let me film this, the whole thing, we need to document this, Playboy. He was like, yo, let him through. And I'm like, all right, I'm through. And I had the big Canon camera, it wasn't like this.
Sure, yeah.
You know, so I had the big Canon camera with the light and the battery. Yo, do that again, Puff. And so I started hanging out with Puff like back in the day. And I know this story don't make sense, but it's gonna make sense. I would hang out and watch him throw parties.
Sure, he famously threw his white party out.
Oh, he would throw a party. One point, I went to Philly, followed him all the way to Philly. He threw a party, and he said, yo, Playboy, this party costs $1.5 million to throw. I'm like, you are out of your mind. And I said, Puff, I'll throw you a party for $400.
But suddenly that all stopped. Jamie went silent, and then in 2023 he had a mysterious medical emergency. Allegedly, he went into a coma very similar to Al Shore, who was once close to Diddy and had been trying to expose him. And here's where it gets deep. Jamie Foxx used to date Katie Holmes, that's Tom Cruise's ex-wife, and Cruise, he's basically the face of Scientology in Hollywood. If you're paying attention, the connections start stacking up too perfectly. That's the type of setup Katt and Dave both found themselves staring down a machine that runs on control, silence, and reputation damage. Dave left the country, Katt got painted as crazy, but now folks are starting to catch up. One user said, I have so much respect for this man, it's ridiculous. He is so intelligent, so focused, and overall so true to himself and our creator. While another said, what a sick industry. The entertainment industry needs a complete overhaul, and the criminals who wield power in the industry must be brought to justice. Kudos to men like Katt Williams and Terrence Howard for their strength, courage, and integrity. So what do you think? Drop a comment and share your thoughts, and if you're into gritty stories that keep it real, hit that like button, subscribe, and check out the next video lined up for you right now.